Hello, everybody. So excited about you being here. As you tune into a new series, a new episode, a new conversation of this new series that we have going on. This new series is called Lessons Learned in Quarantine. And today we have Bishop Randy Borders. He's going to be joining us really soon. I just got off the phone with him. He'll be joining us. And it's going to be the bomb. Hey, how's everybody doing? What's going on? I'm so glad that you guys are here. We're going to have a conversation with Bishop Randy Borders. So he should be joining us. However, he did text me or email me rather and say, oh my goodness, it's not on Zoom or StreamYard. And I said, no, it's going to be Instagram Live. And he immediately said, oh God, Lord Jesus, help me. So he doesn't quite probably know what to do, but I'm hoping I gave him good instructions. I'm hoping that he'll be able to click on my IG Live and I told him I'll add him. So we're hoping that he'll be joining us here really, really soon. How's everybody doing today? We have two people. Yep. How's everybody doing? Guys doing okay? Good. I know you're happy. That's not Bishop. Okay. Waiting on Bishop to join us. How's everybody's week going? I'm sure your week is going all right. Blessed week. I love it. 2020's been crazy, huh? All right, we're waiting on Bishop. Waiting on Bishop to join us. You guys' week's been good. I hope you guys are able to stick around for the whole conversation. If not, you can always go to my YouTube page at Dr. John Tyus and watch the replay. I'll be posting replay on YouTube. I have two YouTube pages, one for the ID movement and one for my own personal Dr. John Tyus endeavors. So you go to YouTube and check that out, and you can catch the replay there. Definitely a test of faith for 2020. 100%. This has absolutely tested our faith. 2020 is testing us like no other. I've never experienced. My brother, how are you? My brother, good to see you, man. It's testing all of our faith, and all of us have to hold on and go through this new season of life. And it seems like everybody's being tested. No, you didn't miss it. We just started, actually. I'm waiting for Bishop to join us now. Bishop, he DM'd me and said, it's not on Zoom or StreamYard. It's on Instagram Live. I said, yes. And he said, Lord Jesus, help me. So, honestly, some people, they're a little older and they don't know the technology as well as we kind of do. So, I'm hoping that he will jump on here soon and I don't have to coach him how to click on my live. That's what I'm hoping, y'all. So, right, man. Right, exactly. I sent him the best instructions. I said, just go to my page. You'll see a little ring around my face, and it'll say live. Just click that, and then I will add you. I'll take care of the rest. And so I hope he's not confused. I hope not. I hope he's not confused. So we're waiting on him right now. How you doing, man? Everything's going well. Everything's going well. Looking to ask Bishop some questions. What questions would you all like me to ask him? How about I ask that question? Any questions you all would like to ask him? He's a very prolific teacher, author, speaker. He has a lot of conferences that he stages around the whole entire country. He's very, very well connected in ministry and business and in personal and leadership development of people. I think he'll have some good stuff for us as we talk to him tonight. Let me click on the faces. Maybe he's in here and I don't know. No, he's not in here just yet. Not just yet. But so we will have a conversation with Bishop. I think we have a lot of questions to ask people that are older. I have a lot of respect for people that are older than me and that have walked this journey. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation. There's Bishop. All right. I'm about to add you, Bishop. We ready? Got it? I just sent you an invite, Bishop, to connect. There we are.
Oh, that's yeah. Yeah, I heard you call me old. That's what I heard.
No.
I don't know what they heard. I don't know what they but I heard him say the old man's getting on and we're gonna talk to him.
No. I'm just glad you was able to figure it out. I'm glad you said it's not.
Listen, so I'm thinking that you're on Facebook, so I'm over on Facebook, and you are because you're advertising on Facebook like you over there.
Yeah, I know, right?
Y'all young people, see,
I
was on
know.
Instagram because I'm gonna be on Instagram, see, but you know.
I know. I'm out here. I'm trying to advertise on all of them. Got a nice, okay following over on Instagram, so I need everybody to jump over here on.
I got you.
Instagram.
I got.
Yeah. So, how are you doing today, Bishop?
Man, listen, I cannot complain. I could, but it wouldn't do no good.
Yeah.
To navigate through some things here and trying to figure out all that's going on, and actually trying to figure out how I can get this situated. But hey, man, see Corey's on. But listen, man, let's go for it.
All right. So a couple questions for you, Bishop. Just wanted to you was one of the people that I had to bring on to have a little bit of a conversation with. So we do this little thing where we do lessons learned in quarantine, and because 2020 is throwing all of us for a loop, no matter who we are, and
tell me about
crazy. Yeah.
I saw the quote today. If 2020 was an exercise, it had to be a burpee.
It had to be a burpee.
I was like, yeah.
No, so 2020 has been crazy. And I think just having conversations with people like you that everybody respects and honors, and I think it will be beneficial to people. Bring some inspiration, bring some light.
I respect you because I followed the conversations with the fathers.
Yeah,
and, there was a tremendous amount of wisdom that you had even in bringing that together.
Yeah.
But let's go, man, with these questions.
All right. So first question: who is Randy Borders?
Wow. He's a husband, an author, a father, pastor, a bishop. One of the things, hey there, Gwen is on, bless you. One of the things that I do is I love strengthening leaders. I believe if you strengthen a leader, you strengthen an entire church or an entire city, actually. So some of the things that other people do, I may not get down in the trenches with that because I'm trying to strengthen you so you can do it. Because if I keep you healthy and I keep you strong, then you'll be able to do more. And then that's another question that we have to answer too, is who bakes bread for the baker? Who cuts the barber's hair? Who does for the leader what he does for other people? And I try to be that resource.
Wow. So you're in North Carolina.
North Carolina,
beautiful place. My doctoral mentor there is Bishop Sir Walter Mack.
Yes.
He's there. That's my doctoral mentor, and when I was at United. And so that's phenomenal. So were you born and raised in North Carolina?
Born and raised in the city that I pastor in. So I only left for a few years to go to college, came right back. And when I tell you an assignment, this was an assignment. Yeah, so that's how I ended up here.
Wow, born and raised right here, pastor in the same church you was raised in, the same city. That is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I started the church here though.
Okay.
I started the church here 30 years ago, and so I'm still at the church that I started pastoring.
Yeah, which is Faith Harvest Church.
Faith Harvest, absolutely.
And you started several churches as well in the Carolina.
I started one in South Carolina, another one in Charlotte, and I just like the whole church planning thing.
Now, how about your upbringing, Bishop? Can you give us a little bit of background as far as your upbringing, a little bit about your story?
Yeah, I'm kind of a mutt in one sense. I grew up missionary Baptist in the morning, Pentecostal at night, so I kind of had a crossbreeding there with doctrine and every other thing. But the Lord has been faithful to me, so I was saved at an early age, and so church is pretty much all I knew up until I went to college, and then I tried to learn more about what was going on in the world and mesh the two and understand what's going on in the kingdom.
Wow. I love that, Bishop. I love that. And I see that you have a major passion for birthing leaders and developing leaders. Everything that I see about you, you're always developing something, putting something on to develop people.
Yeah, you know, and I think that that's where it is. It's like a lot of time people are thrust into leadership, thrust into ministry, and they never had anybody to actually mentor them. And it's like, I really would tell me this, and I do believe that there's more caught than taught. But if your model or your style is to be pouring into them, then they can catch things just by being around you because you're intentional about what you share. So I just try to be intentional.
I love that. So in your journey, what was, and I believe everybody has this moment, but what was your aha moment? So the moment that things clicked for you. Now, you said you've been saved all your life, but I'm sure it was a moment in your life where it was the moment where everything changed for you and you started on the journey where you are now.
You know, I actually went to college and was excited to get away from home. Had been at school, even though I love the Lord, I've been in school for maybe, maybe 3 weeks, and I found this church called Evangel Fellowship, name of Pastor Otis Lockett, and I walked and I saw something I'd never seen before. I saw order like I'd never seen before. I saw a church that was probably 55% men. It was this, well, I'll say at least 45% men, and he focused on building strong men. And then the college students were on fire for God. And it was like, I just really wanted to see God do something like that in the city that I was from. So things just began to shift for me there. I'm saying, you know, I wondered if God could do that in the place that I was from.
I love that. I love that. So he really focused heavily on developing men, and he obviously had a strong young adult ministry. Yeah. So what did you take from him when it came to him dealing with men?
Well, one of the things is I just understood that their responsibility. I'd never seen anybody hold me accountable and responsible, made me responsible for things, and that's what he did. He held us accountable, and then so I understood that in order for things to change, you'll never confront what you're unwilling to correct, and you'll never correct what you're unwilling to confront. And so it's like it's just being in your face and realizing that you actually got to do something about it. So that's what we were.
Wow. So that's great. That's great. And so it led you to where you are now. And even now, as 2020, we've entered to 2020. It's been challenging like crazy. What's your take on 2020?
Well, I think, you know, one, you know, while everybody else was really trying to run out and beat the storm, I just took that passage in Isaiah to go in the house and shut the door until the storm pass over. You know, and so it says shut the door and hide yourself. So the quarantine has been good. I've been preaching the message about the lady that was in debt, and they came to and all she had was the cruise of oil. So he told her to borrow some vessels, but he told her to go in the house and shut the door. And as she poured, it continued to flow. I just felt like that she was in quarantine. And so as she was in quarantine, she began creative. And in her creativity, as she began to pour, more began to come. So this has been a time to where I poured out of the little that I had, but the more that I poured, the more started coming. And that was the miracle. Then he told her, she took all this oil that was produced in quarantine and took it to the prophet. And she said, listen, this is what was produced. And he said, take what you have, pay your debt, sell what you have, pay your debt, and live off the rest. I believe that the creativity that we're receiving in this season is going to be, it's going to produce a monetary value, and then we're actually going to be able to sell what we have, and we're going to be able to pay our debts and live off the rest. So I don't think it's a time to sleep your night away or sleep the time away. I think it's been a time for us to really reevaluate some stuff so we figure out what we need to be doing.
Yeah, I love that as far as the creative piece. And that's one of my questions for you. Just how's 2020 spawned creativity?
Man, one week we're in church, the next week the doors were shut. And so it's like we can't go. And so now you're trying to figure out how to minister to the people. So it was crazy because I went out and immediately bought some equipment on one day. The last Sunday we were in church, we kind of used some of it, and we went from there trying to figure out what to do. Several weeks I was in my home and just teaching, and you know, for a while there, I think people were really listening in because they were scared. You know, that happens always initially. Then now they kind of let up a little bit. But you know, I just started trying to figure out what to do. So then I sat in front of I started creating a show that I do every day at 12:30 called Expanding Borders. You know, so kind of a play on my last name. So what I do every day is I just usually it's leadership principles, but I do other things. Sometimes I just preach. Like today, I just preached a little bit. But I get people that come on every day. I just wanted to be a dose of encouragement because we're in a season where people really need to be encouraged. So we just take this time. So every day, and then some people tune in late at night, but they're getting something, and that's it. Listen, we might not be in the building, but we're still working. I think most of us are working harder now than we've ever worked before because ideas are coming and we're working on them. I'm actually working on a book that I'm going to have out in December. I've got several people in my church who are writers. We're writing book. Gwen's one of the ladies on here. She's finished a book, but the time of quarantine has been a time of just real creativity, just trying to see. So now I'm actually renovating my sanctuary, turning it into like a small studio with a studio audience, because I don't know when we're going to be able to go back and church full throttle. So, I mean, I got a lot of friends that are going back. It's just not the way that I'm led right now. So, you know, I'm kind of led by the data and the Holy Ghost. And
come on, Bishop.
I'm inspired to follow science. Science is there for a reason. And so we just said what we will do, we'll keep small numbers, but then I'm doing a build out. It's going to be finished hopefully the 22nd of this month is the date that they gave me. And I'm just trying to see how we can do things differently. So then I'll be able to do different interviews and with a nice LED screen behind us and all of that kind of stuff. Just kind of really the quarantine pushed me into the future. It pushed me out of a place that I was stuck. And so I have a friend of mine who's always talking about leading from the future. And sometimes we don't lead from the front, we lead from the back. And 2020 has made us get out front and to establish what we're going to do. Either you're going to do it or you're not. And then so, and then too, it's been an opportunity to help people because there's a lot of, and people, those of us who know more should show more and do more. So it's been an opportunity to mentor older pastors who are not technologically savvy at all and trying to bring them to different platforms and trying to do it socially distanced and and trying to talk them through some things. And so really just getting people together that can kind of help them. It's selfish of us, those of us who really have the resources and jump on. Like at midnight tonight, I'm praying for businesses on Facebook. So I do midnight motivation every midnight. I pray for a different thing. And you know, midday moment is kind of a little teaching moment, but we just holler out to God at 12:30, at midnight, whoever wants to get on, and people get on, and I get such a tremendous response of people say, man, I caught your prayer and it was exactly what I needed. And so tonight we're praying for business owners and businesses because business owners are suffering. And then some of them are not suffering now, but they're suffering from fear. Is that the business is good, but they don't know what's around the corner because of all the economic prognosticators and the things that people are saying. And so now is a good time for us to say, hey, this is our resource, but God is our source.
I love that. I love that. You speaking from a place of creativity, and I love that. I love it, Bishop. I really.
What you got to do is that you got to pull people in, and I think that what's happening now, man, is that things are shifting. It's shifting for everybody. It's shifted in the moment. We began to declare last year that this would be a year of swift shifts. We had no idea what would happen. Then I told them at the first of the year, we dubbed this year the year of service. Or we didn't know that we would have to serve our community and serve in the ways that we have. But everybody else said it was a year of vision 2020. We said it's a year of service. So it's been a year of service for us. And just the things, the opportunities that we've had that have been set before us. But it's also been a year of crisis. Is from two words, Chinese word, which means dangerous opportunity. It's been a time of dangerous opportunity. It's been a time to where either you take the risk or you fail. People who don't pivot will perish. If you don't pivot in this season and go at it from a different angle, you really might not make it. And you run the risk really of not surviving what's going on in the culture. So now I have some people, I'm just waiting on it to blow over. When it blows over, we'll be in such a new dynamic. If you don't try to roll with something new right now, you may miss the wave. And we're encouraging people, hey, don't be so in love with yesterday that you don't embrace tomorrow. Somebody told me you'll never get your next if you stay in bed with your ex. You got
yes, sir.
to get out of what you used to have in order to experience what God wants you to have now.
I love that. I love that. So what's the church's response to all this? Like 2020 just hit us like a truck. So some, like you mentioned, some ministries are afraid to adjust. They don't want to pivot. How do we respond?
Our mission hasn't changed. Our methods have to change.
Yeah.
Is the mission of the church is still the same. We're still loving people. We still got to heal the sick. We still have to feed the hungry. But right now, there's another dynamic. I mean, you got to deal with the mental state of the people, because people are now, they're mentally challenged, and you got all this stuff going on, and they're dealing with anxiety and a number of other things. And so we're at a time now to where people really have to they've got to deal with those things, and the church has to we have to bear some of the responsibility in dealing with that.
I love that. So there's a different church. Has to be a different church.
Oh man, listen, I went to bed one night and the church was one way. I woke up the next day and the church as we knew it no longer existed. And you know, the people that I was talking to a friend of mine, and they actually had a service this past week, and that signs out front saying air hug, like, you know, because they're like 6 feet. You know, it's like in the Old Testament they scream unclean. I mean, that's what, like, stay away.
Yeah.
We built church on a model of, you got to embrace people. You got to greet them with the holy embrace.
I know.
Church, built church on the model. Touch your neighbor, don't touch me. I mean, leave me alone. So now it's just a different dynamic. You know, say this, and I'm like, no, don't be sitting there follow prodigals my way. Nobody wants that. So how do you have church now? And that's something that we have to really look at. And there's some people who can only do church one way, and you have to realize that the same God that's in the holler is in the still small voice. But if you can only identify with one thing, and I'm not saying we don't holler. I mean, I'm out there now. There's not in there, and I got to holler a little bit myself. But that's not my identity. My identity is in Christ, and my identity is not in a style. And so some people can't adjust to a style, and you have to be able to adjust in order to reach your audience. Because like, if I'm talking to you at home, sometimes it's just being able to come to your home in a very relaxed atmosphere that makes people feel non-threatening in some way.
So as far as priorities, because 2020 has shifted that as crazy as well. So I think what we thought was important is no longer important. And what has 2020 done to priorities, you believe?
Well, I mean, what we thought was important, you said, is no longer important. Probably wasn't important in the beginning, but was. Now I'm trying to keep my phone from falling. I'm gonna do say in Jesus' name. You know what I'm saying? You know.
I know, that's how we did the IG live, right?
Right. So, okay, I think this is gonna get it. So. The priorities, the church, see, the family was given in Genesis, but the church wasn't given to the book of Acts. And I think that we got to keep it in order, that family comes before church. And so now he's brought us back home. And part of the reason that some people are having so much stress is that they hadn't seen their family in so long. We hadn't been together like this in so long, and that we're actually learning how to live together. And that's been crazy, learning how to make those adjustments. So it's been really interesting just to see how we can do it and make it work. But I think that the priorities has changed, is that, man, we're trying to, some things don't matter anymore. I had 42 friends, pastoral friends, whose numbers were in my phone to die in a 40-day period. In a 40-day window, we lost 42 of my friends, people I can't call. I mean, I didn't even want to get another phone call, because COVID-19 hit that hard. And so I'm getting these calls, this person's dead, and that person's dead. And then there's guys I'm going to preach for. So I said, oh, listen, I got to call this guy. Then my solemn assembly is usually last week in July. I'm going to go to New York and preach for this guy the next week. So I'm like, he's not answering his phone, only to find out that he's in the hospital and he's about to expire. And he expired on one day, his addict expired on the next day. All of these things were the things that we were dealing with. And so it has been both challenging, and then so last week I I unplugged a little bit. Even though I do the daily show, like I was missing a couple of days. I just intentionally got missing because sometimes you got to have that space for yourself. If not, you won't explode, but you will implode. And so a lot of people have breakdowns and they don't realize what it is because they don't prioritize self-care. And listen, if you don't take care of you, nobody else is going to do it.
So I love that. So all of these people that are friends and colleagues and they've passed on, what did that do to you here and in your heart? What did that do to you?
It let me know, well, one, with this disease, that no one is exempt. And then two, no matter how much we're praying, sometimes you have to just submit yourself to the sovereignty of God and say, I don't understand what you're doing, but I do know that you are sovereign and that you are wonderful. I resigned that if they went on, that they had completed their mission and that given all that they could give, because I know that God is a just God. And so I'm just, but I'm saying, okay, if I'm here, I have a responsibility, number one, to tell my people to stay safe. I have a responsibility to tell them to live out the fullness of your days and to live full, to live your life, but to live. I mean, to live. And that's one of the things that I took away from this is love hard. People stop talking about people. I thought about so-and-so. Don't think about them. Send them a text, give them a call, and let people know that they're on your heart and in your mind, and just love people.
Wow. That's powerful, Bishop. I love what you're saying. I mean, you are definitely inspiring,
and you got to go back to your first love, and then you ask yourself, why do I do this anyway?
Why?
I do this because there's a compassion that the Lord has given me, and people need to see that compassion. And I've got to now creatively figure out how I can be as compassionate as I've been in the past without putting myself at risk, and being safe, but at the same time letting people know that they matter. And then the electronic touch is good for a lot of people, but some people want to hear your voice. And so how many people do I talk to in the course of the day? But I got to talk to somebody because all of these things matter. And I think that's what's important, is that we realize that that we keep the main thing, and things that matter, we make them matter. And we make people matter over systems. Because sometimes church is about working the system, and you reach a place where none of that stuff matters, where you at the same day, mega churches and storefronts all in the house. So it didn't matter. And so buildings, it wasn't about a band, it wasn't about a choir, it's about your relationship with God. It was about your ability to sit in front of a phone and communicate just like we're doing right now. Everybody was on the same level. So there's no need, you couldn't complain. People don't want to listen to me. No, if you had anything at all, you were able to do it. And people who put their value in the number of people that sat in front of them now had to say, man, I got to get back to God. And it's what I'm giving from my heart to the people. And then it's just about really being able to walk in that love. The Bible said that Jesus saw the multitude and they were like sheep having no shepherd, and he was moved with compassion. The thing that moves you with compassion is when you realize that people are walking aimlessly without leadership. And that's what America needs now. We need leadership. And that's not a ploy for what Democrat or Republican. I'm just in general, we need leaders. And so even in our community, we have to stand up. Now, I'm really proud of Columbus. I mean, you guys, I saw y'all out there protesting and marching.
We did the march.
Having symposiums and speaking truth to power and talking to the mayor. I applaud the church in Columbus, because I used to preach in Columbus all the time.
Did you?
Oh man, years ago. Let me see. I was there a lot for Brian Keith Williams on El Paso.
Bishop, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Timothy Clark, of course.
Bishop.
Yes. Tridestone Ross.
Yep. Bishop.
I'm myself a little bit, aren't I? Yeah. Nathan Milton was over at Mount Calvary.
Yep.
There was just so many. Fred Sanders. You probably remember him.
I've heard the name.
Before your time. But anyway, man, so yeah, I used to be in Columbus a lot. And then of course lately I preach with Michael Young. And of course I love things over there. He and Rick Jones are doing it. So Columbus is a wonderful city.
Yeah. So I got just some names I'm gonna throw at you, and I want you to tell me what's the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay? Oh my God.
Yep, I didn't tell you this question.
Yeah. You're ready to try to trick me.
Faith Harvest Church.
You know, because we did not move out of the inner city, there's a mantra that we had years ago that we don't have anymore, but it still sticks in my spirit. We the church in the hood to do you good. When I say Faith Harvest Church, it's that we are a pillar. We are a pillar. People come back to our community because 30 years, there's a whole lot of churches that rise and fall, but 30 years we've developed a consistency.
I love it. I love it. Mentors and mantles.
Oh man, listen, I wrote a book called More Than a Mentor, and it's about how to connect with your spiritual father, with your pastor, with your leader. Mm-hmm. I believe that every leader carries with them a mantle or a grace, yes. And people who follow close to them can be a partaker of that grace, and that we don't have generations that don't have succession, that there's a succession of the movement and whatever it is that they were called to do, that their sons take it to the next level. And so when I hear the word mentors and mantles, I think next level ministry. The people who follow me will take what I've done to a level that I wasn't able to do because I don't have certain resources or abilities. And then as I get older, I don't have the strength that I had. When I started my church, I was 21 years old. I graduated college on a Sunday, started my church on the next Saturday. My mentality was, if you think long, you do wrong. So I think about
granddads.
Yeah, I just had to do it. And so God's been faithful to us, but I don't have the strength at 51 that I had at 21. And I have to be mindful of that. And so now I'm like enlisting young foot soldiers and try to disciple them to do what I possibly couldn't do. And I think that's what a lot of pastors don't realize, that they're not to do everything. Somebody told me, I had a preacher tell me one time, he said, I'm going to preach till I die. And I was like, why would you rob other people? I may preach till I die, but I don't know if I won't pastor that long. Because why would I rob someone else of the opportunity to be what they could be, because I'm holding on to something and I won't let it go. Most people did that in the past because they did not prepare for retirement. So they held on to it because they needed a source of income. But, yes. But we're wiser now, and we're preparing for our future. And as we prepare for our future, we have to then say, hey, listen, we got to prepare for the future of the church as well as we prepare for our own future.
It's funny you say that, and I'm going to get to this other one, but I had a meeting with Bishop Clark a few months back. We had lunch, and he said the exact same thing to me.
When I tell you, Clark is a brilliant man.
Yeah.
And if you go to heaven for being nice, Timothy Clark is going to be on the right hand of Jesus.
And you know he talks like, and what I'm going
to do. I tell you the truth. I tell you and I've known him probably all 30 years of my pastorate. And one thing I can say about him is that he has not changed. Even when I watched him with grace and dignity go through the death of his daughter, he has not changed. He's phenomenal. He's a phenom. I mean,
that's when I saw you last. I believe I saw you at the funeral. We was in passing, and he was walking and that's where I saw you last. But yeah, he is always consistent. He is truly a father in the city of Columbus in every sense of the word.
Absolutely. Lost one recently.
You said what?
You lost one recently. Well, I mean, one of the ones who were on your panel.
Dr. Booth.
Dr. Booth, yes. I was trying to think of his name, yeah.
Yeah. We did those conversations, and we had some more things coming up, and he was supposed to be on that second one, but he wasn't. He was ill, and so
eternity.
Yeah, but we got him in the book. He wrote in the book to the millennial generation, so that was amazing to get him to do that. So that was awesome. Baby boomers.
Old folks.
Okay. Millennials.
You know, I don't think I would say next, but millennials are really now. It's they're now. And so I just want to see them be more settled and more stable. But then the fathers I had when I was that age wanted the same thing for me. There's some things that only come with time. And we have to extend the same grace to them that was extended to us, because all of this is cyclical.
Absolutely. 2020.
Whew.
Is that your word? Okay.
Yeah, that is the word. 2020 is the year for bless you, Coens. 2020 is a year for the history books. That
for sure.
came from those who left us, and from COVID-19 to things fine. It was like there was the Great Depression. This was the Great Adjustment, because everything is constantly shifting. There are so many moving parts right now that we can't even, the parts are still moving. 2020 has yet to really show us everything. But I tell you what, it was, in Charles Dickens' words, the best of times and the worst of times. It's a tale of two cities. It's coming together.
Two more. Bishop Harold Ivory Williams.
Bishop Harold Ivory Williams was a man who saw something in me. Now, I want.
He's frozen a little bit. You're a little frozen, Bishop. Uh-oh. We was just about to wrap it up. What's going on here?
All right. Hopefully. Okay, gotcha. I wasn't thinking about being consecrated bishop. I was too young. I preached a conference, and when I finished preaching this conference, it was actually at Mount Calvary Holy Church in Durham, North Carolina. And when I finished preaching the leadership conference, I had all of these pastors who were down there, down on their face crying. And Bishop Williams got up and said, "This man is not just a pastor. He's a pastor. Well, I was too young. It was a good word. I was just too young for the mantle. And so he actually said, I was going to be consecrated soon. So we went through this process, but I didn't know what I was doing. I probably was too young. I embraced something. And I think that sometimes the attack comes because you don't know who you are, but the devil knows who you are. And because of that, not really being able to sit and understand, walking into something, but the Lord has been gracious and he's been very, very kind. He's been very, very kind.
I love that. Randy Borders.
Oh, when I think of Randy Borders, you know what? I just think of a servant. I really want to serve God's people. I haven't done the best at it. Haven't mastered it. And there's a whole lot that I need to work on. But if there's anything I keep coming back to, is I just want to please the Lord. And I look at a lot of things. I'm involved in a lot of things, but I look at other people, their identities in that. I want to keep my identities in Christ. So if those things go awry, that I still have my footing and my base, still have my love for God, my church, my family. Not necessarily in that order, my love for God, my family, my church. But I just want to make sure that I am constantly becoming who I need to be. And that's a journey.
I love it. I love it. Last question. What's your greatest lesson learned in 2020 so far?
The greatest lesson learned it is the lesson of reinvention. It is understanding that you cannot. This is what's crazy. I had preached a series of messages on reinvention several years ago, but never reinvented myself. It was so good to the people that heard it, and we danced about it. But reinvention happens at the moment you realize you can no longer stay the same. And so now I'm playing catch up with things that God was telling me years ago, but I didn't really heed it. I preached it. And I'm trying to get preachers to see now, you got to realize whether or not you have a message or whether or not you have a word, whether or not it's a sermon or a word. And if you only have a sermon, then you're only going to tantalize the crowd. And sermons are good inspirational pieces, but they're not necessarily a word that penetrates the heart, because it first has to penetrate the heart of the presenter. And so my thing was that there were a lot of things that never allowed to really penetrate my heart, but God has a way with time and trouble, that things that didn't get you, he's got a way. They'll slow walk you down. So, you don't get it now, you get it this way. And then I preached a full gospel. I preached this message about Jacob. Jacob wrestled until he was Israel, and then he went from Israel to Jeshurun. And it was just a really good message. It was about him becoming who he needed to be. And it was really good. People were excited, and I walked away. Yes, they got it, but I didn't get it. 2020 has made me stop consulting with people and things that the Lord had led me to do years ago. Begin to do. I begin to do some things even at my church, and the more I do what he tells me to do, the more the resources come to do it. And it's not a strain, because this is what it's like. If you had done this, had the faith to take risk years ago, the same provision would have been there. But because you looked at, you considered the win. He that considers the win will never sow. You considered the circumstances so much that you never. And so now it's like, I don't have time to consider the circumstances. This is what I have to do. I have to create this avenue for God to come through, and that's been awesome. It's been awesome.
Well, wow, Bishop, that is phenomenal. That is phenomenal.
Let me say about John Tyus.
Yes,
You're a phenomenal man, and I watched you fumble your way until you realized what you were doing, and but it's been great. And I was like, what is he trying to do?
Yeah.
But you knew what was in your heart, and the more you did it, the more it began to unfold. And I want you, just like when Bishop Jakes preached the message, "The Woman Not Loose," it ended up being a book. It ended up being a series. It ended up being, it went from there to being it went to being a stage play to a movie. And it was the same message, but it was put in different platforms. And so I want you to take what you're doing and figure out the different ways and the different avenues that you're actually to bring it forth.
Yes, sir. I received that, and I believe that. I stand on that. I definitely will do that, Bishop. I received that word.
Oh no, I don't need that. Thank you.
Just wanted to say thank you for your time today. I consider it an honor for you to even take out your schedule and take some time out to share with people. I'm going to make sure I repost this on. It'll be always here on Instagram, but it'll also be on YouTube.
I'm getting messages telling me that it's blurry. So if it is,
It's not now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was blurry for a second, and that's when we got the interruption, but it's good now. So
okay, good.
So thank you so much, Bishop. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bishop Randy Borders. So,
oh man, listen, I love you much. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and we'll follow up real soon. All right, Bishop.
I'm gonna learn how to use IG Live now too.
Yeah, it's pretty all right. All right.
All right.
All right. See you later, Bishop.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. 2 more weeks, we'll have another person up. I want you all to tune in. We'll have a brand new person to interview for Lessons Learned in Quarantine. I hope you all were honored and blessed and inspired, engaged, and informed today. I'm Dr. John Tyus, and I will see you in 2 weeks.